I like in the Club World Cup the system that he's played because it has allowed for free flowing football and goals, but it's also been defensively resolute. And one of the biggest issues I had last season, in the season when we were watching Chelsea, was the fact that we might have been defensively resolute, but creatively it was left a lot wanting. Um, Now we're seeing a team which is actually seemingly starting to get some cogs whirring, and I think it's missing a couple of things still, but hopefully that's something that'll be addressed this window. One position definitely, and obviously we're going to talk about transfers later in the show. Um, but overall, just a really, really solid performance. Great to see Thiago Silva as well. You know, I you seeing him at the end as well, holding up the Chelsea shirt with his name and number on the back, was a case of me just looking at going, he should still be here. Especially the way he was playing, by the way, as well. You know, clearing balls off the line, looking really solid still against good Premier League opposition. I look at it and go, we should never have got rid of him. And he'd look nice in that home shirt. He'd look nice in the away shirt as well, by the way, Dan. I'm liking the shirt. How are you finding that?
Yeah, I've got yeah, I literally arrived today. I was tempted. I do like the home shirt, and I may still get the home shirt. I am definitely 100% getting the third kit if it's as good as all the templates of and the leaked
Yeah.
images have made it look like. I think that's going to be a that's going to sell out. You know, I still wouldn't suspect Chelsea. I wouldn't expect Chelsea to beat PSG in their current form. But it will be an interesting tactical battle if it is PSG, because arguably, you know, at least internally, Chelsea have tried to claim they are aspiring to make a team that PSG, you know, have just constructed with Luis Enrique. You know, a very exciting, dynamic, aggressive, and frightening at times. Controlling European team with a lot of stars that can really grow and develop together. So whatever it is, this tournament has been a success for Chelsea. I think the conversation we had right at the start was how seriously are going to be people going to take it. I think once we got to the round of 16, and I think once we got through that game, and once you get to the quarterfinal, you kind of are, well, we got to go all the way here. We got to, especially with the way the tournament kind of played out in terms of Chelsea getting a favourable side of the draw. But that's not to say that they didn't encounter issues in those games either. So yeah, all round, I think what we can say undeniably, I think it's a continuation of the positivity that the season ended with, and I think that's a great thing to see.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, for me, look, I'll be honest, I've not really cared too much about this tournament. Regardless, I think it'll be a nice cherry on the top to win it for me. I think it's been a good example of seeing what Chelsea can do and can be capable of, which is kind of how I've looked at it. Um, and if we've been knocked out, I'll be like, okay, fine, like is what it is. It shows the benchmark of where Chelsea are and where they need to improve. Um, Now they've reached the final. Should they win it, I'm going brilliant. If Chelsea win it, Chelsea win it. Like that's fantastic. And financially, it's a big benefit. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. And the being able to have the running joke of even if we're not great during the season, because we played so many games and because players are tired and because of the ridiculous nature of what this season has been, I can say and you can say for the next 4 years, Chelsea are the best team in the world, categorically. Like that'll be a lot of fun, right?
Cynically, financially, Chelsea's ownership will be delighted. They feel they've won this tournament because financially, the money they've already made. Um, Someone did a breakdown that really, actually, they've already made what 30-40 million by making the final.
86.9 million. 86.9 million.
Is that the whole tournament?
Whole
Yeah,
tournament, we
so
made
the whole
86.9
tournament,
million.
yeah, and it's only an extra 10 really. You got to think of like 10 in the context of a team like Chelsea, um, for just winning it. So the ownership will be thinking to themselves, we've got a ton of money. And when you think of, factor in the UEFA or FIFA punishment that came recently and the need to sell players, which is still there. The need to sell players is not just based on financial, repercussions for not doing it, but it's based on like squad harmony and getting players out that no longer have a future here. So I think that in terms of the tournament, it's clearly been a success in that, and we'll see. I mean, I don't have the fear you do about PSG simply because I'm always I laugh when people get scared of having to play good teams, because to be a good team, you have to beat other good teams. We're back in the Champions League. We're not just back in the Champions League to be there and to get some finance from it. We're in the Champions League, and the likelihood in the new format, we could very well in that league face both PSG and Real Madrid potentially. You could face, some very good teams. So it's a chance for Maresca, this version of Chelsea, which I think is in a good place to test their mettle, to test their tactical flexibility, to test how they can deal with a team at that level. Because surely the end goal of any European football team who wants to be the best is to get to a Champions League final one day.
Hmm.
So surely, like that what are we doing here if that isn't the aim? If the aim isn't to become Premier League champions, if the aim isn't to become the best European team, and to be in another Champions League final where you very well are going to face PSG, you're going to face Real Madrid, you're going to face Man City, you're going to you very it's very unlikely. I know this year we had a very unique situation in a Champions League final where it was mismatched, but most of the time it's based on elite teams getting there. So I think it will be fascinating, and as long as it isn't, like as you said, it isn't an Inter Milan situation. Um, of course, it will be frustrating and disappointing to lose it, given how far we've got. But I think I've seen enough to make me think the team has gone on from last season.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you look back, I did see the thread with you and Rob, and Rob made a very good point of looking back at that Tyreek George goal against Fulham and how important that is. Um, I think that is definitely a turning point. At the time, I mean, people listen back to the pods and sort of, say, well, you weren't very excited at that point. No, I wasn't. I didn't think it was a great performance, and it was just, I felt like a big save in a pretty lackluster spell for Chelsea. Um, but during that lackluster spell, and looking back at it now, it's a key turning point. PSG, I mean, yeah, I mean, just it's. I look at that game against Atletico Madrid, the opening game. I'm like, oh my god, this team's ridiculous. But then again, they have lost in this tournament as well. They haven't got a perfect record. So there's a lot to consider and a lot to look at. And look, as long as it's not the inter situation, then you know I'll take whatever we can get at this point. I'm not going into this final with a sense of belonging's the wrong word, but I'm just kind of looking at it going, look, whatever happens, happens. Que sera, sera.
Yeah, I mean, I started this tournament with the analysis that, and I'll stay to this. Like, I was never gonna rake Maresca and the players, over the coals about if it went wrong, because it's still not as consequential for me as we do in the Premier League. I still don't think it's as reflective. It doesn't have as much weight as what you do in the Premier League. It doesn't have as much weight at what you could do in the Champions League. I still firmly believe that, and that's not me saying that I won't care if Chelsea win on Sunday and I won't be disappointed if we lose. It's just I think that it's a unique tournament, and there's also an issue that will only come to light in time of the damage potentially on players. I still have fear. Like I know some people have said, like the momentum and the fluidity and the chances for Maresca to try things and integrate new players, could be beneficial. Um, I still feel though that the players are being overplayed. It's insane watching Premier League teams who we're competing with just returning for pre-season, and Chelsea still technically haven't finished their season. I mean, I've gone back and forth whether I count this as 24-25, but at the very least, it's been a long time of us playing, and I think there is an exhaustion there that I'm a bit glad that we're going to at least have a few weeks without a Chelsea game, and mainly for the players to rest. I think that's the most important thing.